Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain. We all have sorrow. But if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. For it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. You just call on me, brother, sister, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'd understand. We all need somebody to lean on. We all need somebody to lean on. Oh, it's good to have a community to lean on in moments like these. Welcome, and thank you for joining us this morning for Guild's Bloomington Ladder of Hope. We're here today as a community that recognizes the importance of creating an environment where each of us can thrive. Everyone is worthy of the opportunity to create a life with joy, community, safety, and shelter. By elevating our voices, we can spread hope and the unlimited possibilities and the potential that comes with it. Before we begin, we'd like to recognize our top 2022 Bloomington Ladder of Hope sponsors. A special thank you to today's premier sponsor, Bituminous Roadways. Will you please stand up, those of you from Bituminous Roadways, to be recognized? Thank you to our signature sponsors, Good Leadership Enterprises, Luther Automotive, Medica, Minnesota Bank and Trust, Mutual of America, Old National Bank, and Wilson, McShane and Teams, Inc. Let's give a round of applause for our signature sponsors. And a thank you for our contributing sponsors, Associated Bank, Birch Counseling, Dan Springman with Edward Jones, the Mary Holmes family, Monarch Healthcare Management, North Risk Partners, Refine Wealth Strategies, Ryan Companies, and Scott Erickson with Edward Jones. And last, but certainly not least, our supporting sponsors whose logos can be seen here on the screen. Let's give a round of applause to all of today's sponsors. It's with their partnership and support from all of today's sponsors that we are together today to recognize the importance of dispelling stigma around mental health and homelessness. My name is Ben Botts. I have the honor of representing Guild today as T. Michael takes another stage for a performance at the Ordway. He helped us take this event to a new level, and I'm grateful that he showed us, the Guild community, how it's done. I have the privilege also of serving Guild's clients as an employment specialist. Day to day, I support clients in working as a part of their recovery. You'll hear plenty from me today, so I want to share their voices. A client texted me last week, celebrating that she had made it to every shift, Mental health and body pain have previously made for lots of sick days and frustration from her employer over the years. She writes, "I'm really trying now. I almost didn't go in today because I woke up feeling awful, but I still went and worked my whole shift. I just keep reminding myself that I will eventually be able to live a much happier life if I work." Another client returned to a janitorial job after a long absence to tend to their mental health. The day after the first shift back, they texted me, "Good morning. Went well. Lots to do. Some changes, new things. Got a full set of keys." Guild empowers resilience and dignity as we walk along clients and their families on their journey. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for these individuals and their courage to hope. They show themselves what is possible in their own lives and inspire us to do our work and spread the word. Through a person-centered approach to care, Guild meets every individual where they are, and we do not give up. We hold people up. When we feel safe, supported, and heard, hope can thrive. Your presence here is creating hope. I want to introduce you to someone special to me. Since 2017, Julie Bloom has been leading Guild as CEO, working alongside staff through incredible change, growth, and shifting services to be more mobile during a global pandemic. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Julie.
Thank you. Hello. I can't tell you how incredible it is to be in front of such a large room of people who are passionate about the services we provide. We made it through the pandemic. I know we're still working through, but the fact that we're here, we're not all in masks, and there's food in front of you is a big step forward. I'd like to start by saying thank you to the people who filled this room today. For our table captains, who give us the gift of their networks and their relationships. If you're a table captain, could you please stand so we can recognize you? I cannot overstate the amount of effort it takes to bring people to an event like this, just all the coordination, and so we are always so grateful. I'd also like to thank our volunteers. This is a big event, and my team makes it look easy. Whether they greeted you at the door or helped you through registration, helped get you to your table here today, you are the heart of this event, and we are so grateful. Today, we are in a crisis. Mental health needs in our community are more than they've ever been before. And our mental health system, after decades of neglect, is simply not able to provide the supports and services to everyone who needs them. What we see now is that people who need support immediately cannot get the support they need when and where they need it. The result is overcrowded hospitals, long waits in emergency departments, and treatment centers that have no space for people who desperately need to be there. When people ask me what happens to the people who meet your qualifications for treatment, but you simply can't serve, and I have to say, I don't know. What I do know is that suicide has never been higher that people are self-medicating with drugs and alcohol and overdoses continue to be normal. Suicide is now one of the leading causes of death for young people under 18. For the most vulnerable and marginalized, they're languishing in jails, in emergency shelters, and for some, they have determined that their safest and best option is to sleep outside in Minnesota winter, risking their lives every day. Mental health is a bipartisan issue at the legislature. And we've gotten to a place in our society that I didn't know would ever happen. We all acknowledge and know that mental health is something that we all have. Just like we have hearts that can malfunction and bones that can break. At the same time, as a provider in this community, as we try to increase services, we are fighting stigma and discrimination at every step along the way. There are people who are weaponizing our clients' stories, your friends and family and mine, to create fear in a battle that has nothing to do with us. But we as nonprofit providers persevere because if we did not, there would be even fewer resources and greater suffering. This is not a crisis that government and nonprofits can solve alone. And we cannot take ownership of the crisis. And Guild is here to stay. Our services and supports and the holistic model works. We have worked with people over the years that many others have given up on and said they couldn't be helped. And we've seen people not just survive, but thrive, building lives of purpose and joy and meaning, being active participants in their communities, in their families, and in their own happiness. And that is why we do what we do. It is a normal human reaction to turn away from something that's uncomfortable. I feel it too when a problem is just so big and seems so hard, we numb ourselves to it. And we've gotten to the point where the alternative, stopping and taking a deep breath and turning towards discomfort, can sometimes feel like a heroic feat. But it's not. We all have the capacity to listen, to ask questions, to understand. And what I know from experience and from all of the stories that I hear from our supporters is that you start to feel like you can make a difference, that you do have resources and skills and gifts that can make an impact. And while you can't solve the whole problem by yourselves, we know that one at a time, that impact adds up to make a difference. And it's contagious. It's why all of you are here today. When you support Guild, you are giving us the opportunity to be the change we hope to see in the world, one person at a time. Guild is a community-based mental health center, and we are part of an ecosystem of similar organizations across the state of Minnesota. What you're going to hear about today is what makes Guild unique, and that is our approach to housing and employment. Early on, we realized there is no way to have mental health without housing. So we partnered with our government partners, the feds, and we get housing vouchers, and we have to find landlords who will take those vouchers and rent to our clients. This is no small feat. Over the last 15 years, Guild has built relationships with landlords one at a time. And we now have a network all over the cities so that landlords will rent to our clients in the communities of their choice. We have a similar approach to employment. We believe people do best when they're fully integrated into an employment center. Employment is a really important part of recovery. More than a paycheck, it provides meaning and structure and a community. We partner with private citizens, private employers who have jobs that they need to fill, and we match them with clients who have the skills. But both with housing and employment, we don't just feel like we're doing our work and our work is done when someone is housed or when they have a job. We stay with people and we make sure that it's a win-win situation for the employer, the landlord, and the client. I tell you about this because without those private citizens' willingness to turn towards what could be uncomfortable, we literally could not do our work. When I think about someone who always turned towards others, I think about Will Susans. We are dedicating today's event to Will. Will was one of Guild's earliest clients, and when he graduated from services, he was a fervent advocate for mental health in our communities. Will served as a mentor to some of our clients and served on our board of directors for many years. Will passed away this last year, and we miss him very much. You're going to hear more about Will's story later on in the program. Today, we are here asking for your financial support. I'm really excited to tell you that 10 anonymous donors have agreed to match your donations dollar for dollar up to $100,000. Isn't that great? Our services are funded through billable revenues, but what we've learned over the years is that the revenues that are available to support our work don't really support the high quality and flexible services that our clients deserve. Your donations and support enables us to do this and to stay strong while we're doing it. If you can, we appreciate multi-year pledges. When we have pledges, it's money that we can count on for the next year, and it makes it so that we can use our values to make decisions consistent with our strategy, rather than having to just react to what comes in front of us. We are so grateful for anything that you can do today to support us. Nick Lesney, a participant in our employment services program, found that he could do so much more than he thought and learned firsthand how important work is to recovery. Let's take a look.
We help people with serious and persistent mental illness find, get, and keep jobs. The model that we follow is called the Individual Placement and Support Model, and that is an evidence-based practice. So it's been researched and a proven effective way of helping people with mental illness get jobs and keep jobs.
Each candidate may have, a different challenge, right? To showing up to work, to maintaining the consistent hours, to symptoms being disruptive to their ability to stay focused at work or stay engaged or interact with coworkers.
I was admitted to Abbott Hospital. I was there for a few days and they diagnosed me with bipolar disorder. And I've been battling with that since '03. When I worked at the shops, I was going through a lot of med changes. So that affected my cognitive, and unfortunately I got let go of all those jobs because of that.
The education component is huge. We've heard we don't work with those kind of people. And it's like, well, let's talk about what is those kind of people and providing that education. A lot of employers may not be aware of. Within companies, people have employees that have a mental illness, whether they know it or not. So again, we talk about that kind of win-win situation of being able to support the individual. Work is such an important part of recovery, and it adds so much to an individual's life. Other than a paycheck, it's self-confidence, and many clients want to work.
I always try and go into work. If they send me home, that's fine. I'm not a slacker, I want to work.
What we do is we partner with our mental health service teams. We'll help people discover what their interests and abilities are.
Really, we're looking for where employer needs, right, and openings match clients' interests and passions and desires. We're bringing people who have skills to jobs. From there, we can work through just about any situation.
There's things he would talk about with me, but then he would talk about them with Ben. And Ben has such a wonderful way of approaching and discussing and helping you kind of arrive at what might be something to try.
Nick and I just grew to have a pretty good rapport. The most difficult part for him in I want to be there, I want to show up, I care about this job so much that I want to do a really good job. How do I reconcile how I feel today and my desire to be there and to do a good job? Some of our clients have some insurmountable challenges. And then when you put something that's motivating, like a job that they love, community, and something to be a part of every day and get up for, yeah, that makes a huge difference.
Well, the biggest accomplishment I made of myself, I'm independent.
He's just grown so much. He's moving on, he's learning, he's developing. And every day is a brand new day. I mean, I remember on some of the toughest days where it was, is this ever gonna get better? And it was always, you have a brand new start every day. You just look at the journey and, it's kind of that little rear view mirror and that wide windshield. You did this all.
Everybody's trying to do the best job that they can in this world. And I think that does reinforce that this is important for the individuals that we serve, and that work being so crucial in people's lives.
Guild is doing such amazing work supporting people with real skills and abilities to get out and live their dreams.
We all want to do good. The employers want to do good, we want to do good, our clients want to do good, and working together, we do good.
When our loved ones struggle, we often bear the emotional ups and downs along with them and know they are worthy of the lives they want for themselves. Nick and his mom have a remarkably supportive and loving relationship, and as you saw, it takes more than our nuclear families to get there. It takes a community. That's where Guild comes in, and what I get to do each and every day, along with the best team of people. It was through Guild, through a Guild Youth Peer Support Specialist, that our next client speaker found a future in helping others by sharing his passion and love, a dream he didn't believe was possible years ago. I'd like now to welcome Ray to the stage.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nicholas Raymond Besser, but I go by Ray. If you're a tenured Ladder of Hope attendee, you might remember me from the last time I spoke up here. I told my story in 2018, and I was 18 then. I am now 22 years old with nothing but my purpose and my future in sight. I was a client of Guild's Youth Assertive Community ACT team, or treatment team, otherwise known as Youth ACT. I found Guild in 2017, and in May of 2021, I graduated from their services. It's been a little more than a year since I graduated, but let me bring you back to the start. I can't say exactly when I was diagnosed with depression, but I remember being about 7 years old when I went to my first therapy session. I have a foggy memory of most of the good times in my younger years, but the bad ones tend to stick out a little bit more. One of my earliest memories is watching my father go to jail for molesting my sister. My mother was drunk and on the kitchen floor with a knife to her throat after the police took my father. I knew my life was going to be difficult and different from there on out. My 4 siblings and I would have to start growing up a lot sooner than we should have. By the time I was 9, my father was released from prison, for some reason, welcomed back into our lives. Things actually seemed to feel a little better, but all of that would soon change once more. By the time I was 13, my father had reoffended and then sent back to prison. My relationship with my mother and my siblings was shattered. All except for my brother Lucas. He took me under his wing, he protected me. He inspired my love for making music, and without that, I don't know where I'd be without the musical inclination being unlocked by him. And by the age of 14, we had lost 2 houses and 2 apartments. I had started cutting myself to cope with the severe depression, and I didn't see a point in anything anymore. And to numb my suicidal thoughts, I started using alcohol and drugs. By the time I was 17, I had attempted suicide 3 times. Before I was discharged for the last time, a social worker recommended that we call Guild. Before Guild came into my life, I was lost. I had a lack of self-discipline. I was impulsive and angry. I was hurt, and I was left to survive alone. Little did I know the turnaround I was about to make. Guild helped me get out of the toxic environment I lived in with my mother, who was still struggling with alcohol abuse. They helped me move out of my mother's home to a place in Coon Rapids, in which started me on this track of success. During that time, I met with many providers from Guild, from therapists and psychologists, to chemical dependency counselors and education specialists. All of these professionals were on my team at Guild, and having these supportive people around me made a huge impact on my life. But it was through my Guild peer recovery specialist, too, that I realized where I wanted to go with my life. Tu is a wonderful and compassionate person. He has a kind heart, and he wants to share his knowledge and experience to help others going through strife. He introduced me to a field of work that I never even knew existed, peer recovery. I didn't know that my own trauma and my life experiences and using what I've learned to get through it could even be a job. Peer recovery specialists are people who walk down that dark path of substance abuse or lived with someone who does. And we use that experience of that darkness and we turn it into light for those currently trapped in that cycle. The last time I spoke up here, I listed some of my dreams and my goals. I wanted to graduate high school, get married, have a home, have a few cats, and I was, and still am, hoping to start a family, get more tattoos, start my career in the mental health field. I have 7 tattoos, and 3 of my tattoos are the Nordic runes for love, love for the people I have in my life, strength because I will always push to be stronger than I am, and music because my love for music will never fade. And that isn't any truer than right now. In 2020, 6 days after my 20th birthday, my mother died of alcoholic ketoacidosis and heart failure. I wasn't speaking to her at that time, and I felt guilty and regretful for how the relationship was. But instead of allowing me to regress and fall back onto old habits, I improved my quality of life. I'm proud to say that after 5 years of working with Guild's Youth Act team, I've graduated. Thank you. And since then, I got engaged to my wonderful fiance, Ashley, and we have 5 cats that are our family at the moment. Plus, as of September this year, I got my GED, and I am now a certified peer recovery specialist. And since then, Don't Stop Me Now by Queen has played endlessly in my head. The next step for me is to start college and begin with a bachelor's in psychology and behavioral sciences. I plan to go further than that, but baby steps, right? I've learned it's important to have supportive, caring people around you when things get tough. And well, 2 years later, I'm lucky to have found that in my fiancée, Ashley. She is extremely supportive of my recovery, supportive of my dreams, and I am so grateful for all that she does and all of her support. She is generous and kind, warm-hearted, sweet, honest, and true. She motivated me to crack down on my GED and to get started with my peer recovery studies. Ashley, if you could stand. Words cannot express how much I love you, and they cannot express the gratitude I have for you and all that you have done. You have provided me with the kind of support that I have needed in a relationship and brought forth feelings I haven't felt in a very long time. I'm a poet, and you leave me speechless, Ashley, and I can't wait to spend my life with you. I'd like to leave you with the same quote as the last time I stood up here. If you want a better life, you can't wait. You have to make it for yourself. Make sure that you have the right people pushing you forward, because I have done the work and it wasn't easy, but I believe I would not be here if it were not for Guild's help. So thank you, Guild, and all that you do, and keep reaching out to the community. And thank you to the donors, investors, partners. You have helped make Guild what it is today and helped them help so many others, so give yourselves a pat on the back. Because whether you're a partner, donating, or investing with Guild, you're investing into somebody's future. Thank you.
Wow, Ray, thank you for sharing your journey with us. How amazing when we can give back to our community just by being ourselves. Guild understands that when we are working towards stability, our surroundings make a powerful impact. This drives our approach to housing. When a client needs a safe place to live, Guild's team connects them with housing options right where they are, in the community of their choice. By building relationships with landlords, we foster a community of support for our clients' success. That community of support was there for Paula during one of the hardest periods of her life. Her journey led her to Corey, one of Guild's housing team members who helped Paula regain her independence. Paula and Corey will both be sharing their story coming up. But first, let's show you more about Guild's housing approach.
If I asked you to just close your eyes for a moment and imagine someone who's homeless. Very specific images would come to your mind. And for good reason. I think that's true for all of us. But when you work in the field, you realize it very often doesn't look like what you think it might look like. Whatever pop culture or movie or television show image you have in your mind of what homelessness looks like, it's different. It's different. It's different for every person.
There's definitely a spectrum of homelessness. Anybody could be one major event away from being in that same spot.
I'm not housing homeless people. I'm housing sons, I'm housing daughters, I'm housing parents and grandparents. I am grateful every day that I am able to do that, but frankly, it would not be possible without the team that I have at Guild.
Housing services at Guild, it really covers the continuum of any person's homelessness to housed experience. Guild uses what's called the housing first model, which means, you know, you've got a lot of things going on, you're struggling in a lot of ways, but let's get you housed first.
If someone doesn't have that stable and permanent and safe housing, it's going to be very hard for them to work on any other goals that they might have for themselves and build a support network in the community.
Many people don't understand how close to homelessness people are in Minnesota. All of the clients that we work with, they're struggling. Their mental health symptoms could suddenly get much, much worse, and not through anything of their own doing. And our goal, the goal of all of my teams, is that we're ready, that we have a plan. We have everything from street outreach teams and then long-term supportive housing.
Walking up to the person, I'll introduce myself. Hi, I'm Corey. I work for Guild Services. Because you can't just go up and ask, hey, are you homeless? So you gotta really pay attention to the person. You can't just go by what they look like.
Because we have people who work full time, you know, and it's just not enough for all their needs, to meet all their needs and to meet their housing.
I view it as my incredible privilege to provide high quality housing to individuals who will be able to have stable housing for the rest of their lives. They know that what I'm providing to them is not just a space. I'm providing them with a new vision for their future, a vision that says you matter, who you are matters, your future matters.
This is huge because it'll give a person a little more hope.
When you give to Guild, you are literally directly funding my team's ability to go out and engage people and get them to the place where they can start to see a completely different future for themselves. It can feel hopeless, some days it just does. But I think the thing that really propels us forward and keeps us going is the incredible support we receive from partners. They are walking with us. They do this work with us.
I know that with the right environment, which is clean, which is quiet, which is safe, I know that that individual is going to have the opportunity to thrive.
Well, hello everyone, and thank you for coming. My name is Paula. My story starts with a look back at my childhood. The trauma I experienced impacted my mental health, my mental well-being into adulthood, and sometimes to this day. My father was an abusive alcoholic. He verbally, mentally, and physically abused me, my brothers, and worst of all, my mother. I stayed at my friends' houses so I could escape my father. All my girlfriend's parents knew what was happening inside my home, except for the sexual abuse. Not even my best friends knew. I hung out with the bad crowd doing drugs and drinking. I became independent very early on. It cannot be called a childhood. It was surviving life. By the time I was 17, I had dropped out of school and got pregnant. I was told right away by my parents they would not help me. I decided to give my son up for adoption. Left without a place to live, I went to a place for runaway teens in the Twin Cities. I thought if I went somewhere different than just to my friend's house, I might be able to get some help. I followed through with giving up my son up for adoption. Everyone was all proud of me for giving up my baby for adoption, but no one had any idea how hard it was not to change my mind and how painful it was to hand him over to the nurse. I can remember like it was yesterday. I have no regrets, though. I knew I needed to get my life together. After I gave birth, I had another bad altercation with my brother that left me with another black eye. I ran into my ex-boyfriend, David, who took one look at me and said, "You're coming home with me." A month later, we moved to Key West, Florida. I had never been anywhere besides the Midwest, and I fell in love instantly. While things with David didn't work out, I stayed in Florida. I got a job as a waitress and found a room to rent. I also met my children's father there. He owned a lobster boat, but that's not all it was used for. He smuggled weed out of the Bahamas, Jamaica, and even Cuba sometimes. Eventually, he started dealing cocaine, and it wasn't long until he had gotten busted. We tried to make it work, but he didn't know how to make an honest living. I realized I wanted better for my children. It was because of my kids that my mother allowed me to finally live with her. I moved back home to Minnesota, but guess what I found at home? Crack and cocaine. I was using, and I was pretty good at hiding it. Sometime later in 1994, my best friend sets me up on a blind date, and I met the love of my life, Jeff. When people say there's a match for everyone, it's true. Jeff was my true love. While I was extremely happy, as well as my kids, my drinking got worse after a couple of years, sending me to my first rehab. I went to rehab on and off throughout our 19 years together. Jeff was always there for me and my kids, caring for them while I was gone. We managed to raise 4 beautiful children, Christopher, Kayla, Mike, and Rachel. But then my life was flipped upside down again. Jeff was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. I just had put myself through rehab again and was only about 4 months sober when we got the news. I stayed sober in the beginning, but after Jeff almost died on the operating table, I started drinking again. It was hell, with bill after bill, and Jeff never complained, even though he was in pain. I even got a job 4 minutes away from where we lived so I could be there in case of an emergency. We thought at one point he might beat it, but it came back even worse. They tried everything from chemo, radiation, and even taking one of his kidneys. We lost Jeff after 4.5 years of trying to beat cancer. It's the nastiest beast I've ever encountered, and believe me, I've encountered some beasts. He fought hard, but even the strongest person I've ever known couldn't beat it. Jeff was the real deal. He was a saint. And when I say true love, I really mean it. I miss him every day. After his passing, my employer fired me from my job for missing work while I was taking care of my my husband and grieving my terminally ill husband. I found myself living on unemployment, sitting at home every day getting drunk. Before Jeff died, he asked my son to move in with me, who was living in a sober house at the time. Things started off okay, but following Jeff's death, we started feeding off of each other's weaknesses. When Jeff's life insurance ran out in 2017, my landlord at Holiday Acres had asked us to leave for not paying rent. My son and I were homeless, living in my car. I eventually checked myself in at Fairview Hospital as suicidal so I could get treatment. It was during this time that I finally called the number for Guild. My landlord at Holiday Acres gave it to me for help. That's when I found Corey. When I was told Corey could help me from Guild, I scoffed. I had heard that before. Well, Corey, my knight in shining armor, followed through, and he's here with me today. Corey, can you please join me up on stage? This is my hero. From the first moment we met, Corey believed in me. He gave me hope that I would be okay and that I would figure things out. His encouragement changed my mindset, and for the first time in a long time, I had a positive thought and knew I could keep moving forward on my sobriety and recovery journey. Corey found me a home. I actually went back to my old apartment building, Holiday Acres. He helped me pick out a bed and kindly brought me a chair and table without me even knowing about it, so my apartment felt like a home. All through the years, I would give up or say it was not meant for me to have a nice life. Corey always knew the right words to say when I felt like that. He kept me positive about the future, and now the future is here. As I've always said in recovery, I wanted to be sober to break the chain in my family's history. Well, I'm nearly 4 years sober from alcohol. And 35 years from cocaine. And now, I'm a grandma to 3 beautiful grandchildren, Rowan, Lily, and Remy. My Guild housing team, Lisa and Nuda, helped me move into a brand new apartment building in West St. Paul. I now only live 3 blocks from my 82-year-old mother, who I am responsible for and love to help, so that is very important to me. While I was fortunate to find help for my mental illnesses and change my life's trajectory, not everyone who experiences a traumatic childhood does. I reflect on all that I have accomplished and learned since finding Guild, like just how important it is to have conversations about our mental health. When we talk about what's going on behind closed doors, we can support one another. Ask the hard questions, please. I can't give enough thanks to Corey, Nuda, Nathan, and my girl Lisa for all they have done for me. I'm lucky to be where I am today, and I couldn't have done it with all of you by my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paula. Your determination and dedication to change are what made that possible. Hello, everyone. My name is Corey Samuels. I'm the outreach worker who assisted Paula. First, I would like to thank everyone for attending this event, and thank you for your contributions. After listening to Paula's journey, her trials and tribulation, and her triumph, I know for a fact that your contributions to Guild are what made that possible, so thank you. Outreach is something I love doing. Seeing the smile on Paula's face is well worth the hard work it takes to make her journey a success. When I'm doing my job, there's certain things I just don't think about, like how much people appreciate the work that I do. One of our previous clients described my team members and I as her angels. Well, guess what? Your contributions are what makes our work possible, so that makes you our angels. Thank you. I'd now like to introduce someone who has been inspiring others about the work we do at Guild for many years. I'll let him tell you so I don't spoil it, or tell you how long he's been doing it so I don't spoil it. He's here to share how you can empower change with us. Please welcome George Brewston.
Wow. It's so great to see you all here. You should see it from my perspective. It's huge. Thank you so much for coming. My name is George Brewston. I've worked for Guild for 31 years. I started as a social worker in 1991, and I've had 7 different positions over the years. I started working in fundraising for Guild in 2007. My current position is Senior Philanthropy Officer. My friend and graduate of Guild Services, Will Susans, passed away from medical causes last year. It was Will that coined the name of our event, Ladder of Hope, when he told his personal story at the very first one of these events in 2015. Will was diagnosed with schizophrenia and came to Guild from Anoka State Mental Hospital. Prior to his commitment to the hospital, Will was an Army veteran and had worked as a lead computer programmer for a Fortune 500 company before decompensating with symptoms of mental illness and losing everything. I knew Will for over 30 years. He stabilized and graduated from Guild Services about 15 years ago, but his involvement didn't stop there. He joined our board and volunteered telling his story of mental illness and his journey of stabilization at presentations. Will would say, "I was in a hole so deep where no ladder would reach me. Guild extended a ladder of hope to me. It was a custom ladder with tailored supports on each rung, so I could climb out of that hole." He shared more than his time and story with Guild. Will wanted to make his journey to stabilization accessible for others in need. Will budgeted from his fixed income to donate a little over $83 a month to Guild, which totaled $1,000 per year. He also gave an additional $20 per month for the Guild Client Assistance Fund. Those additional $20 donations totaled more than $2,000 over time. Will was very proud that he could give to help others Guild serves. While speaking at Will's funeral, I told his friends and family the impact Will had on so many lives by sharing his story to reduce stigma and educate people. Will was my friend, and I miss him very much. When you give to Guild, you become part of the solution for people like Ray and Paula, who you heard here today, and all of the clients that Guild serves. Your support means Guild can be there for our community, not just today, but every day to come. Many of our supporters have shown their support of Guild's work by joining the Ladder of Hope Giving Society and making a 5-year pledge. Pledges are important, as knowing what donations we can anticipate each year allows us to plan ahead, to grow and sustain our services. I know there are members of the Ladder of Hope Giving Society who have made a 5-year pledge to Guild in the audience today. I'm not going to put you all on the spot by asking you to stand, but I do want to recognize the impact you're making. Everyone, please join me in a round of applause for those who have pledged to the Ladder of Hope Giving Society and those of you here today who will join them with your own 5-year pledge. In a minute, I'm going to ask the table captains to hand out the pledge forms. And when you get your form, I ask you to consider making a 5-year pledge. The levels of the Ladder of Hope Giving Society are on the pledge form. $10,000 a year, $5,000 a year, and $1,000 per year, like Will did, which breaks down to a little over $83 per month. Or you can make your own custom pledge for 5 years on the next line. For example, $500 a year per year is about $42 per month, and $250 per year is about $21 per month. You also have the option of making a one-time gift today. And I'm excited to remind you what Julie told you earlier, that 10 generous donors have combined forces to pledge $100,000 to match any new or increased pledges or one-time gifts given here today. Yeah. It was me that asked them to do that. And I can't tell you how grateful I am to those people who pledged that matching money. They did it for Guild to inspire you to give. Table captains, will you please pass out the pledge forms? I'm going to give them a minute to do that. I have to tell you that Guild does not do this work alone. We build relationships and partner with other resources, landlords, employers, families of individuals served, and supporters like you. Please join us today. You can make a real impact, real change, and real hope. On behalf of all of our staff and the clients Guild serves, thank you so much.
We gotta hold everybody. We gotta hold everybody up. We gotta hold everybody. We're gonna hold everybody up. Everybody up, up, up. Hold everybody up, up, up. Hold everybody up, up, up. Hold everybody up. Thank you so much for being here. I'm grateful to each of you. When we're talking about community, we're talking about you. It's your support here today that reminds us of just how impactful Guild's mission is. Creating the change our community needs can't be done alone. It takes collaboration and perseverance and a community to hold us up. In the spirit of that, I'm going to ask you to join me in some song. Why don't you repeat after me? We're gonna hold everybody. We're gonna hold everybody up. We're gonna hold everybody. We're gonna hold everybody up. We're gonna hold everybody. We're gonna hold everybody up. Yes. And then the end here, the first three are the same. Hold everybody up, up, up. 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 And the last one is different. Just the one time. Hold everybody up. There you go. Let's put it together. We're gonna hold everybody. We're gonna hold everybody up. We're gonna hold everybody. We're gonna hold everybody up. Hold everybody up, up, up. Hold everybody up, up, up. Hold everybody up, up, up. Hold everybody up. One more time, let's do it. We're gonna hold everybody. We're gonna hold everybody up. We're gonna hold everybody. We're gonna hold everybody up. Hold everybody up, up, up. Hold everybody up, up, up. Hold everybody up, up, up. Hold everybody up. Thank you for being here today. Please travel safely. Make sure to get a parking validation. And on behalf of Guild, thank you and happy holidays.